Hello everybody and welcome back to the RORSRPS Season 2 Qualifier. My name is Preston Vieira and I'll be your host tonight as we find two more main field Season 2 qualifiers. We're jumping right into it today with the wheel spin, starting with the introduction of the reuse wheel. All of these trucks have been featured here in one of our earlier episodes, request or not, and they have a shot at coming back in hopes of being the winner and the next qualifier. As usual, please consider subscribing if you enjoyed tonight's event and want to keep up with the qualifiers or catch the soon to come Season 2. And don't forget to head over to Instagram and drop a follow to our official page at RORSRPS. Starting this Saturday, all of our tour placement votes will be taking place exclusively over the weekends to give everyone a chance to get caught up during the week and try to avoid spoilers. Now here's the thing with our wheel spins. If the exact same selection gets chosen multiple times in the same bracket, the extra selections will be skipped, as we just saw with Kraken and 106.7 the Fox. But two different versions of the same truck get chosen. They'll get entered into the bracket. They'll both get entered into the bracket. Also, to prioritize your requests when filling a full bracket like we are here today, we'll get 10 competitors from the reuse wheel and 6 from the full selection wheel, just to keep some new and different trucks flowing in. We already have quite a few new trucks popping up for the first time today, including Goldberg and Bigfoot at the end there. And with that, here is a look at our first lineup for tonight as we shuffle things up to find our official matchups. And it's looking like a solid lineup here. Of course, like I mentioned, we do have quite a few re-attempting trucks, coming to throw down and try to throw their hat in the ring one more time for a championship here, or a qualification into next season. Gravedigger is going to be taking on Soldier Fortune Black Ops. Sly Cooper is going to be taking on Hooligan. Medusa will take on Cheesiest Machine, while Death Row takes on Kraken. Party Time, that Namped truck, is going to be taking on Overkill Evolution. Goldberg will face off against Bob and Tom. Bigfoot is going to be taking on Shock Therapy, and Shadow the Hedgehog back once again, looking to take on 106.7 the Fox. And we're getting started already with Gravedigger coming out here on your right, taking on Soldier Fortune Black Ops. First time we're seeing Soldier Fortune Black Ops, and that's a good-looking truck and one of the classic V4s. So I'm sure he's going to throw down here on the Spin Master Showdown track, looking to qualify into Season 2, and we're going green for your first race of the night. Gravedigger, a breakable truck. I'm pretty sure he is. We'll see how he does here as he takes on the gap. Looks like he's going to come up short. He is just slightly, not too bad, but he is coming up short. Yes, he is a werewolf truck, as Soldier Fortune is already into the slalom. Big lead on Gravedigger, but Gravedigger might be able to come back here through the slalom. We've talked about it quite a few times that these werewolf trucks are pretty grippy, so it helps them out a lot in the slalom. While these other trucks are sliding around through the turns, the werewolf trucks can make a move by just staying consistent and getting some speed through those slaloms. Heading down onto that ski hill, Soldier Fortune Black Ops still holding on to the lead. Gravedigger doing well over there on the right. Not well enough to grab the lead, unfortunately. But we still got half a race to go here as Soldier Fortune heads down, looking for a transfer in the tunnel. Getting into trouble, but sets it back down. Gravedigger, beautiful transfer. Keeping it off the walls as well, very important for a werewolf node beam truck. You clip a wall, you could lose a wheel, and you might as well be done at that point if you're not. Soldier Fortune getting in trouble and pulling it back off of the nose. Gravedigger going long to low as he has to, as we're used to seeing from those werewolf trucks. I don't think any of them are really going to go for it. If they do, they're going to snap a drive shaft and you're done. Soldier Fortune around that final turn already. Black Ops looks like he'll be moving on to round 2 here in episode 4. This is round 7. Looking for our, this is going to be the 9th qualifier already. Speeding through these qualifiers. It's tough getting these videos out every day, but I mean, I'm having fun, and it's been different, a unique challenge here on the RORSRPS channel to really push out some videos every day. Sly Cooper coming back to try it again, as well as Hooligan. We just saw him in our very last event here, and he's trying to come back. Sly Cooper with an all-new body style, that Taz body and the raccoon tail on the back of it. An awesome custom. Hooligan in the lead right now, very slightly. But Sly Cooper's right there with him. Both of them getting beautiful downsides on that Jackrabbit. Hooligan with a better landing, though. Neck and neck coming out of the turn. Hooligan holding on to that slight lead, but Sly Cooper doing well with coming back here. Look at Sly Cooper making a move. Neck and neck coming out of the slalom. Perfect downside from both of them. Sly Cooper a little bit crooked, but it doesn't hurt him much. Heading around that turn. Neck and neck here, even coming up to the bridge. And this is a closer race than I would have expected it to be. Hooligan nearly clipping that car, slows him down. Coming off of the bridge. Sly Cooper heading, looking for a transfer here. Solid. Hooligan doing the same, getting crooked though. Uh-oh, Sly Cooper going for a ride. Over goes Sly Cooper in the bottom. Hooligan takes the lead here. Sly Cooper is done, unable to get back on those wheels. They would have shut him off anyways, which definitely would have hurt his pass. Hooligan in the lead all by himself now. Just a practice lap at this point. He needs to perfect this final turn here. So far, he is our most returning truck, and he still needs to get some practice in. I mean, he's our most returning truck, hasn't qualified yet. We want to see him in the finals so he can stop coming so he can stop coming here and stop trying. Hooligan heading into round 2. We'll see if he can do it tonight and get qualified into the season. Heading into our next race, Medusa returns, taking on Cheesiest Machine, another returning truck. Medusa, same paint job, but different version of the truck. This is more similar to the version of Medusa that ran the entire season last season and became our tour champion on the Throwback Tour. We'll see if she can get qualified in once again, potentially come out with another tour championship as we're off the line and headed down to the first floor. Medusa getting upset a little bit there. And this is not a good look for her already. Cheesiest Machine, a nice lead on Medusa. Cheesiest Machine might be able to move on to round 2 tonight. See if Medusa can come back here shortly as we head through the slalom. Game changer here. Real wild card, as I mentioned before. Anyone could come back. Anyone could fall behind here. Cheesiest Machine with a beautiful downside. Heading up onto starting elevation. Medusa, not bad herself. Big sky wheelie, though, sets her up crooked there. Gonna need to get that under control if she wants to come back and take over or overtake Cheesiest Machine. Medusa getting big air on the bridge, but that doesn't necessarily help her run. She has to stop to get that truck settled down there. Cheesiest Machine narrowly keeping it off the walls there in the tunnel. Medusa, the same, not having much luck. Medusa goes for a ride. Over she goes. Medusa is done. Cheesiest Machine free and clear to take a win. That's 2 trucks in that red lane tonight. Down. Cheesiest Machine loses the rear end coming out of that elevated turn. Needs to get that under control for round 2, especially taking on Hooligan, who has a lot of experience on this track, as opposed to Cheesiest Machine, who is relatively new. Nice downside on the triple. Up and over the finish line. Cheesiest Machine will be moving on to round 2. We'll see him again in just a minute as we prep for our next race of the night. Next race coming out onto the track. Kraken returns, bringing out the green body. This time we haven't seen that from him yet in the qualifying window. We did see him as a sub with the green body last season on the Custom Chaos Tour Death Row Namped version here. And it's his first time on the track. Now, these Namp trucks don't do well. We saw Utter Madness struggling on this track last time around, and Death Row is already struggling, as opposed to Kraken, who is not necessarily excelling, but doing well. Beautiful downside on that massive gap. Death Row looking pretty solid for a Namp truck, carrying some momentum on that long to low through the gap there. Kraken heading through those slaloms. Death Row taking a different approach than we saw Utter Madness take last show. Trying to pick up some speed and gain some time here. I don't know if it really worked for him, but he did get through it relatively quick. Heading up onto starting elevation as Kraken is already up onto the bridge. Death Row looking solid. Just not having the speed that he needs to take out these V4 trucks. That's the struggle with the NAMP trucks on the qualifier. Kraken looking good, heading up and over the massive roller here, looking for the gap. Going long to low. He knows he has a gap behind him. He can waste a little bit of time and still be safe heading into round 2 if he can just get across that finish line. Death Row going long to low as well. He is way behind at this point. It doesn't look like it's going to happen as Kraken is in the final turn, nearly going over. Managing to get it under control, but really hikes up that left side through the turn. And he is heading up and over the finish line. Kraken moves on to round 2 tonight. Nicely done. Now the real challenge comes in next round when he's not taking on a truck that's so easy to get a big gap behind you. Nice slap wheelie from Death Row, but he is done. We will see him if the wheel lands on him at some point. Next out on the track, though, Party Time, another NAMP truck. So he is going to struggle, but he's taking on Overkill Evolution, one of the trucks we saw last season. Now, this is a different version of that truck, but same name. We're going green here. Third race of round 2, or fourth race of round 2. Coming down onto the first floor here. Overkill Evolution looking for a beautiful downside, pulls it off. Gets a nice gap as well. Party Time looking for that long to low. Doesn't pull it off as cleanly as Death Row did, excuse me. Party Time really trying to make up some time there, but loses the rear end in the turn. These trucks just really have a hard time keeping up with the V4s. The V4s are very different. You can drive them very different. You can really get on the power and slide those things around. The NAMP trucks, you start sliding, you're going to lose the rear end. It's going to pull around on you. Party Time nearly falling off of the starting elevation there. Overkill Evolution already off of the bridge, heading into the tunnel, looking for a transfer. Oh, Party Time rolls it over on the bridge. Down goes Party Time. He is done on the cars. That's what I'm talking about. You really got to watch your approach heading up to those cars. Yeah, that's a prime example right there. Overkill Evolution with a beautiful landing through the gap and on that elevated start, or elevated turn, excuse me. Heading into the final turn for Overkill Evolution. He'll be moving on to round 2. What was that? Free and clear to take a win, still cutting the turn too early and nearly rolling the truck there. Getting it under control quick, but that's going to be a problem in round 2. If the pressure's on and you're facing off against an opponent, you do that, you're probably going to go over. So he needs to get that under control. Look at the stoppie. Setting it down. He's going to head back up to the pits and get prepped for round 2 here as we move on to our next race of the night. Bob and Tom on your left, taking on Goldberg. Both of these trucks, Werewolf no-beam breakable trucks, so we'll see how they do. This is the first time we've seen Werewolf versus Werewolf, I believe. We might have seen it one other time before, but it's not a common occurrence with the randomized brackets. Two different approaches to that step up there. Both of them kind of rolling over it, but Goldberg just using those back tires. Goldberg's going to come up short. Bob and Tom nearly gets a downside there. Comes into the turn first, but two different approaches through the turn as well. It is Bob and Tom that comes out first. Goldberg waving that checkered flag around, looking for a win here in round 1, looking to knock out Bob and Tom, a returning truck, a new version of that Bob and Tom truck, but a returning name nonetheless. Goldberg trying to get back up to starting elevation, gets a big bobble there, gets kicked up onto the nose, but gets it back down. We'll see if he can catch up to Bob and Tom at any point here as Bob and Tom already taking on the cars. Goldberg taking it cautiously there, really trying to watch those cars, trying not to get into trouble on the bridge. Looking for a transfer though. Pretty nose heavy there. Gets it back down. Really behind Bob and Tom right now. Really trying to catch up here. Bob and Tom is already up and over that roller, looking for the gap. Nicely done. Goldberg looking for the same now. Solid. We head through this elevated turn. Bob and Tom already through the chicane. It's looking like it's going to be Bob and Tom unless there's a big bobble in the corner. Pretty smooth. Bob and Tom is going to be moving on to the next round. Goldberg behind. Not going to happen for the legendary Goldberg this time around. I wonder if the regular version of that Goldberg chassis pack is going to do well on this track, or if it's just a werewolf that struggled. Bob and Tom moving on to round 2 though. Nice. Next up on the track, Amsoil Shock Therapy is back on your left this time with that the blue and red scheme. Bigfoot on your right. First time we're seeing him on this qualifier. We'll see how they do here as they take on the track for the first time tonight. Oh, Bigfoot in trouble. Down goes Bigfoot. Hard hit on the cab, and that is going to be done. Amsoil Shock Therapy free and clear already to take a win here in round 1. Beautiful first turn. We'll see how he handles this track as he gets essentially just a practice lap. Wow, looking fast through the slalom. Looking like he got it all figured out. Now, we did have the all blue Shock Therapy last time around, but you know, same node, same truck. So he has practice already. He's had a chance to check out the track and see where he needs to improve. And looks like he's doing just that and improving exactly where he needs to. Does come up a little short on the bridge though. Amsoil Shock Therapy looking for a transfer here. Comes up a little short. That's going to bounce him crooked, but he keeps it controlled. Those rollers on the bottom floor are dangerous. We saw it take out 2 trucks at least last time around. Hopefully nobody gets bit by those this time, as Shock Therapy takes a big hit on the nose. That's one of the things that got him taken out the first time he was here. A big hit on that that ramp face on the landing area of the gap. Shock Therapy got smacked face first into that. Oh, a rough final turn from Shock Therapy, bouncing off the wall. You don't want to do that next time around. In round 2, it only gets tougher. You got the winners from round 1, the ones that excelled here in round 1, taking on the others who excelled in round 1. So, I mean, you really got to tighten up the screws as you move on through the bracket. Amsoil Shock Therapy moving on to round 2. We'll see who he faces off against in just a minute. And check out our next race for now. Shadow the Hedgehog back once again, taking on 106.7 the Fox, also back for their second appearance here. And this is going to be an interesting race. 106.7, not necessarily the best driving truck in the turns. So we'll see how they handle each other. It looks like he might be a werewolf truck as well this time around. Shadow the Hedgehog, solid downside. Same for 106.7 though. Nicely done. 106.7, the Fox getting a great landing this time around, and a solid first turn. Doesn't go over like he did his first appearance here. Does struggle a little bit through the slalom, nearly going over twice now. And that hurts his final slalom there. Taking on the upper elevation from Shadow the Hedgehog. Nicely done. 106.7, the Fox is really looking to make up some time now. Not doing too bad of it, but just behind at this point. Shadow the Hedgehog through the cars on the bridge. Does kick him sideways a little bit, but he recovers quickly. Uh-oh. 106.7, the Fox bounces off the wall. Good to go, just a tire smack there. Shadow the Hedgehog nearly gets into trouble. Keeps it off the nose, keeps it off the roof, for sure. Heading through that elevated turn, Shadow the Hedgehog going long to low. Wow, 106.7, the Fox takes the chance on that gap. It's a beautiful landing. But it's Shadow the Hedgehog through the final turn. A bit of a rough turn there, but he's too far in the lead for it to matter. He'll be moving on to round 2 with 106.7, the Fox just now gets over that triple. He is done for tonight. We'll see if he can get back on that second bracket of the night and maybe get another chance, but it's 106.7 the Fox this time around. I mean, excuse me, it's Shadow the Hedgehog this time around. Moving on to round 2, Soldier Fortune Black Ops is going to be taking on Hooligan. Cheesiest Machine is going to take on Kraken. Overkill Evolution will take on Bob and Tom, and Shock Therapy is going to be taking on Shadow the Hedgehog. These are a lot of great races. I'm thinking Kraken is really the only one that I could call for sure. That might get eliminated here. Cheesiest Machine is a really solid truck on this track. Kraken, we've just seen him struggle a bit the past few times he's been here, so I'm not sure, but I'm thinking Kraken's going to be out this time around. Hooligan on your left taking on Soldier Fortune Black Ops. We're going green. Up and over that step up. Both of them launching completely over it, clearing it. Looking for a downside. Hooligan comes off better. Hooligan really wants that final round appearance. Really trying to get qualified into Season 2. Needs to take a win here tonight in the final round in order to do so. Soldier Fortune Black Ops also wants to be qualified into Season 2, but this is his first appearance. So, I mean, you can't expect too much from him. Heading around that final turn in the slalom, Hooligan gets tripped up in the double rollers, having to back up off of his Soldier Fortune, gets through it clean. Nice turn there on that starting elevation from Soldier Fortune Black Ops. Heading up onto the bridge already. Getting through the cars easily. Hooligan trying to make up some time, really airing that truck out, but he gets into the center divide. That hurts his time for sure. Soldier Fortune Black Ops with a beautiful transfer. Not looking good for Hooligan right now. Hooligan gets a great transfer, but he is very far behind Soldier Fortune at a point where he might not be able to come back. Black Ops with a great gap there on the bottom floor. Hooligan too, though, does get into trouble, but manages to keep it safe. But it's going to be Soldier Fortune Black Ops moving on to round 2 if he can just get through this final turn. And he does. Hooligan too far behind this time around. He'll have to come back and try again for that final round placement. Soldier Fortune Black Ops moves on to the semifinals tonight. Hooligan, done. Unfortunate. I'm telling you, he has the most attempts so far, and that's, I mean, not by much. Everybody's kind of, we've only had a few trucks here, so everybody's going to kind of start racking up some attempts, but Hooligan, the most so far. Kraken coming out now on your left, taking on Cheesiest Machine. Now, I said Cheesiest Machine might be the one to come out on top, but it could go either way. I mean, it's all up to chance at some point on this track. So heading down onto the first floor, up and over the Jackrabbit. Cheesiest Machine smoother. Kraken getting a slap wheelie. Not what you want to do there. He is going to have to come up short in the gap. And that's going to hurt his time big time. Cheesiest Machine heading into the slalom. Trying to maximize his lead here. Trying to get through those slaloms quick. Try and keep that lead and expand his gap on Kraken right now. Beautiful downside on the double rollers for Cheesiest Machine. Kraken, not a bad downside. Heading onto the bridge, Cheesiest Machine still holding on to the lead. Getting through it clean. Kraken kicking that rear end up, but nicely done over the cars. Solid transfer from Cheesiest, keeping it off the walls. Great chicane through the tunnel. Cheesiest Machine going for the gap, kicks him up onto the nose, but he brings it back down. Kraken going long to low, really learned from his last time here on this track where he kicked that front end straight up in the air and went over backwards. Still got into the next round that time. Kraken going over in the straight. Wow. Yeah, he is done. They shut him off. I don't think they're going to let him refire after that roll. Cheesiest machine heads over the finish line. He'll be moving on to the semifinals. They do let him refire, surprisingly, over there on the left for Kraken. Man, that was a rough roll. I'm surprised they let him keep going after that. They just want to get him across the finish line and back into the pits, I think. Nice slap wheelie, though. Unfortunate. Kraken down once again, not being able to grab a final round appearance this time around. Overkill on your right, taking on Bob and Tom. Bob and Tom again. That werewolf node beam, PEI Bob and Tom. So we'll see how he does here against V4 tonight. Overkill beats him to the step up. Taking on the Jackrabbit. Overkill getting a nice downside. Bob and Tom having to settle that truck down on top of the cars. Overkill gets a great downside in the gap. Bob and Tom, a little bit of came up just a little short, struggling just a bit right now. But these slalom, he might be able to come back here. Overkill loses the rear end in the slalom. Oh, Bob and Tom overtakes Overkill. Can Bob and Tom get a good downside here? He does. Up onto starting elevation. Overkill really trying to make a move here and come back. And if anyone's going to be able to, it's a V4 against the werewolf truck. So we'll see how he does with the rest of the lap here. Bob and Tom is already taking on the cars. And Overkill is just about caught up. Does have a slight bobble on the bridge, so he loses a little bit of time. But he's trying to make his move, struggling here on the first floor. Bob and Tom, the first one down onto the bottom floor. Looking for the gap. If Overkill can shoot the gap, he might be able to make up some time here. No, he goes long to low. And it's about neck and neck. Bob and Tom, a very, very slight lead through this turn, but he has more grip. Who will come out on top? It's neck and neck between Overkill Evolution and Bob and Tom. Through the final turn. It's looking good for Bob and Tom. Overkill coming back, though. Oh, it is neck and neck. A close race. It's Overkill Evolution moving on to the semifinals, knocking out Bob and Tom. Now, it's not the most surprising thing. As I said, if anyone can beat a werewolf truck, it's a V4, obviously. But Bob and Tom was in the lead that entire race, even into the beginning of that final straight. So let's check out the bracket in a little bit and see how everyone stacks up. Shock Therapy coming out next on your right, taking on Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, this could be another really great race to watch here. Shadow, oh no, it's about neck and neck coming to the step up. Shock Therapy beats him to the Jackrabbit, though. Shock Therapy holding on to the lead, getting a nice gap behind him as we head over the gap. Shadow the Hedgehog looking smooth through the slalom. Really trying to catch up to Shock Therapy. And he's doing a pretty good job here. Shadow a lot smoother over the double roller as well. And he's right there with Shock Therapy now. It's neck and neck. Shock Therapy a very, very slight lead. Over the cars, Shock Therapy struggles a little bit. Shadow grabs the lead here. Who's going to have a better transfer into the tunnel? Shadow. Amsoil Shock Therapy struggles. Shadow bobbles a little bit through the tunnel. Neck and neck. I mean, not neck and neck. Shadow has a lead heading into the... That is the same lane where Shock Therapy smacked the front face of that landing ramp. So managed to keep it off of that this time, but it's Shadow the Hedgehog still holding that lead as he heads around the final turn. Amsoil Shock Therapy not too far behind, but too far behind to grab an advancement into the next round. Shadow the Hedgehog takes the final spot in the semifinals. And with a nice slap wheelie, he's showing just how excited and ready he is to be in the semifinals. Shock Therapy done for tonight. See if he can come back soon and grab a qualification into Season 2 at some point. He is one of our trucks who really came around a lot in our Season 1 qualifiers, but was unable to grab a spot in Season 1. Soldier Fortune Black Ops is going to be taking on Cheesiest Machine, while Overkill Evolution takes on Shadow the Hedgehog. And I just want to say these are two insane races here in the semifinals that could really go either way. We've seen all four of these trucks killing it all night. Overkill Evolution probably with the most mistakes out of everyone, but I mean, it really could go either way in that race as well. Every race is a new race. Every race that you get behind you is more experience under your belt. So Soldier Fortune on your right, Cheesiest Machine on your left, and we're going green and headed over the step up. Over the Jackrabbit, it's dead even right now. Exactly the same on each side. Cheesiest Machine just a little bit quicker. Soldier Fortune, a big bobble headed into the first turn. He's out a little bit wide compared to Cheesiest Machine. He is behind heading into the slalom. Cheesiest Machine holding on to that lead right now. Soldier Fortune comes back, heads over the double rollers first. Gets a nice smooth downside as opposed to Cheesiest Machine, just a little bobble. Black Ops the first onto the bridge. Cheesiest, smoother over the cars, reclaims the lead. These guys are neck and neck, and they're fighting it out to the end. Heading into the tunnel, it's close. Soldier Fortune trying to keep it off of the wall. Manages to do so, and they're still neck and neck on the bottom floor. Cheesiest, slight lead. Soldier Fortune catches back up over the roller, though. Look at these two. It's like a mirror in the center of the screen. They are neck and neck, heading out of the chicane. Cheesiest Machine bobbles, clipping the launch ramp there. Coming out of the chicane, and it's Soldier Fortune getting into the final turn first. Soldier Fortune will be moving on to the finals tonight. Soldier Fortune Black Ops, let's be clear. Soldier Fortune was around last season, managed to get a World Finals qualification, but this is not Soldier Fortune. This is Soldier Fortune Black Ops on your right, and he'll be moving on to the finals tonight. Nicely done. Overkill Evolution taking on Shadow the Hedgehog. Overkill on your right, Shadow on the left. And this is another one that could go either way. This might be another close race all the way through. Let's just see how it goes here as we go green for the final race of the semifinals. Over the step up, both of them taking similar approaches there. Overkill leads to the Jackrabbit. Over the gap. Identical landings there. Overkill comes out of the turn first. Not too big of a lead on Shadow, though. Shadow, historically so far, has been a lot smoother through the slalom than Overkill Evolution. We'll see if that makes a difference, and it does. Shadow the Hedgehog, first one to the double rollers. Overkill getting clipped, ending up on the nose for a second. Big gap between Shadow and Overkill Evolution right now. Shadow the Hedgehog, the first one to come off the bridge. See how that transfer treats him in the tunnel. Nicely done. Shadow nice and smooth. Overkill fighting to keep it off the wall. He does, but that slows him down a lot through the tunnel. Shadow heading to the gap already. Going long to low. Overkill Evolution might have a shot here. Takes a shot. Hard hit on the front end. Shadow the Hedgehog is already coming out of the chicane. Does struggle a little bit, but Overkill Evolution is too far behind. Shadow the Hedgehog will be moving on if he can get a smooth final turn. And he does. Rough final turn from Overkill Evolution. Shadow the Hedgehog will be moving on to the finals tonight. Soldier Fortune Black Ops is going to be taking on Shadow the Hedgehog. for the final, or for the next qualifying spot. Man, what a race here. What a final round. Take a look at this bracket here. Soldier Fortune, Black Ops taking on Shadow the Hedgehog. These two have been on fire all night, been solid all night. Very minimal mistakes from both of them. This could be a really, really good race. So I'm excited to see how it goes. And either way, this is an exciting qualifier into Season 2. So we'll see who comes out on top in the end here. Shadow the Hedgehog on your left. Soldier Fortune, Black Ops on your right. And we're going green. Up and over the step up. Neck and neck so far. Soldier Fortune to lead though. Shadow the Hedgehog, a rough start this time around. He's going to come up short big time for the gap. Doesn't have to go long to low, but does come up short, and that hurts his entry into the first turn. Into the slalom, Soldier Fortune, Black Ops holding onto that lead. Shadow historically very smooth through the slalom. Just came back big time on Overkill. Let's see if he can do it again on Soldier Fortune. He does make up some ground. Soldier Fortune with a beautiful downside. Shadow struggles. Soldier Fortune getting in trouble, heading up to starting elevation. Shadow has a shot to catch up here. Heading onto the bridge. Soldier Fortune still in the lead right now. But these guys are close. For a smooth transfer into the tunnel. Soldier Fortune comes up short. Shadow the Hedgehog, beautiful transfer. It's neck and neck through the tunnel. Uh-oh. Soldier Fortune, Black Ops goes for a ride. Hard hit on the cab. He is done. Unable to get back on those BKTs and unable to get refired, even if he could. Shadow the Hedgehog is heading out of the chicane and heading into the final turn. He is our next qualifier if he can just get across that finish line. Last time around in Season 1, we had Sonic Heroes as a sub and a World Finals qualifier. This time around, Shadow the Hedgehog moves on as a Season 2 qualifier. We'll be seeing him consistently next season. And you guys have the power to place him on one of our 3 tours. We have the biggest and baddest tour, the Indie Madness Tour, and the All-Star Challenge Tour, where Team Thunder will take on Team Mayhem. And they're going to be going at it all season. And this weekend, you'll be able to place Shadow the Hedgehog and the rest of our qualifiers on whichever tour you think feels the best, feels right. Majority wins. Everybody's going to get a vote. Majority wins, but it's going to be, I love that part. That's one of my favorite parts of doing these, showing you guys the qualifiers and participating with you guys over on the Instagram, is getting to see your opinions and finding out the tour placements for myself, because I don't even know. And there is your final look at the Shadow the Hedgehog monster truck before we see him next season. And that's a pretty awesome qualifier. Shadow the Hedgehog into Season 2. Now let's take a look at our next wheel spins here as we get ready for our second bracket of the night. Blue Thunder is coming back around, getting another shot. Nice. Jester's coming back. Oh, not that one. Gravedigger getting another shot. Hopefully a non-werewolf version this time so we can make it pretty far. Hooligan getting another shot once again. Really desperate to get into the next season. Rage, we already got him, so I've removed him from the list. Blue Thunder, no thank you. Bob and Tom coming back once again, looking for a Season 2 placement here. Iron Man is coming back to get another shot, as well as No Problem. Incinerator struggled last time. Scarlet, Bandit. Awesome. Super Mario's coming back. He ended up in the crowd last time. Let's hope he doesn't do that again. Axe looking for another shot here at a title or at a qualification. Bad Habit's going to come back and give it another shot as well. Killswitch is our next new participant here in the brackets. Axe 2021. I'm not sure if I kept that one, to be honest with you. I don't think I was at this point. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out. One of the custom Ninja Turtles. Men's Dozer chassis pack. I believe that's going to be... I used that pack for Bulldozer last season. I think it's going to be El Toro Loco for this bracket. The Eichelbro D's. That's going to be the yellow Max D. Jared Eichelberger. And we're going to shuffle this bracket up. And we'll see what happens here. Heading into our next bracket. Let's take a look at our lineup and our racing bracket for round 1. Gravedigger is going to be taking on Super Mario. Incinerator will take on Iron Man. TMNT takes on Scarlet Bandit. Hot Wheels will be taking on No Problem. Blue Thunder is going to be taking on Jester. Axe will be taking on Hooligan. Max D Yellow is going to be taking on Killswitch. And Bad Habit will take on Bob and Tom. Now, Incinerator just sounds like an Iron Man villain, doesn't it? Hot Wheels is that Ment Dozer chassis pack truck that we saw in the wheel spin, so that's going to be an exciting matchup here. Now look at this, Gravedigger coming out on your right, taking on Super Mario on your left. We're about to go green to kick off your first round tonight in your second bracket. Headed up and over the step up, Super Mario praying to keep off of the crowd this time. Up and over the Jackrabbit, both of them pretty solid. Gravedigger getting a little crooked, but it's still neck and neck. Super Mario may have a very slight lead. Into the slalom, Gravedigger might be picking it up a little bit. Does lose the rear end just a bit right there. Super Mario comes out of it first. Heading up onto starting elevation. Gravedigger gets tripped up. He is struggling so far in the later half of this, or right about the medium point of this first floor. Gravedigger doing what he can to try and get caught up. Super Mario with the lead heading down to the first floor. Solid transfer, getting into some trouble though. Still holding on to the lead. Gravedigger clips the wall. That slows him down a lot. He doesn't roll it like Medusa did, but that slows him down a lot. Super Mario looking for the transfer onto this elevated turn, going over, and ends up in the fountain. Down goes Super Mario. Here in round 1, Gravedigger free and clear to take this final turn as wide as he wants. Nice practice turn. At this point, practice turn. Up and over the triple. Gravedigger moving on to the next round. Nicely done. I believe that's Weston's 37. Solid lap from Gravedigger. A couple things you got to tighten up, but I mean, he wasn't too far behind Superman until he clipped the wall in the tunnel. So, solid pass. He'll head up to starting elevation, get ready for round 2, while Iron Man takes on Incinerator. Incinerator on the right, of course. These two going hard. We'll see what happens here. Launching off of the start, it's Incinerator up and over the step up first. I believe Iron Man is still a werewolf truck. I don't think I have any solid non-werewolf Iron Man. Solid landing from Iron Man as we head around the turn. He is a werewolf truck. Incinerator, first one into the slalom. He is kind of top heavy, so Iron Man might be able to come back here if he doesn't roll himself. Up and over the double rollers for Incinerator, overshoots it. Iron Man comes under a little bit, undershoots it a little bit. Incinerator having to reverse and take another shot at the getting back up to starting elevation, though. Iron Man already up onto the bridge, which does set him up sideways on those cars. Iron Man headed down into the tunnel. Solid transfer, trying to keep it off the wall, though. Incinerator with a nice transfer. Incinerator should probably go long to low on that gap here. And he is, especially after getting that slap wheelie, which you don't really want to do heading into that gap. You're going to have to let off, which is going to slow you down. You might flat face it. So Iron Man heading into this final turn in the lead right now. Incinerator just now pulling up to it. It's going to be Iron Man heading into round 2. Werewolf's doing pretty decent this time around. That's the second time this show that they've made it into round 2 of the bracket, so that's pretty cool. Incinerator done for now. We'll see him again soon, probably. TMNT Turtles. Well, TMN Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on your right with that CRD chassis. Taking on Scarlet Bandit on your left. That 2009 scheme. See how they do against each other. Scarlet Bandit returning for the second time after her great performance in the World Finals racing bracket, making it all the way up to the semifinals. Looking for a beautiful transfer there. She pulls it off, unlike TMNT. Rough hit on the roof there. They do shut him off. They might be able to let him refire. They do, as he heads around this first turn. Big gap between him and Scarlet Bandit right now. Scarlet Bandit not the cleanest through the slalom. It's taking her a minute to get through there. Turtles looking to make up some time now. Scarlet Bandit already up to starting elevation. Scarlet Bandit getting kicked a little bit sideways over those cars on the bridge, but she has a nice gap on Turtles, so it might not matter. Turtles also getting kicked sideways. Scarlet struggling through the tunnel, though, nearly goes into the wall. Does manage to keep it safe, unlike Iron Outlaw in one of our recent episodes. Turtle's doing everything he can to try and catch up, but I don't think it's going to happen for him. Scarlet Bandit already coming out of that elevated turn and into that final chicane. And Scarlet is headed around the final turn. That is it for Turtles tonight. Scarlet moves on to round 2. Man, unfortunate. That brand new TMNT body looking great on that CRD chassis. Would have loved to see that thing in season 2, but maybe he'll get another shot. Maybe he'll come back around. Nice little slap wheelie from Turtles as we head over back to the pits for these two. Scarlet Bandit, we'll see her again in just a minute. Turtles gonna have to get chosen once again. Here comes that Mince Dozer chassis pack. Hot Wheels on your right, taking on No Problem, that classic, one of the classic monster trucks from the 90s. Hot Wheels, one of the classic monster trucks from the early 2000s, and we're going green. Neck and neck over that step up. It's close, No Problem. Takes it to the Jackrabbit, though. Hot Wheels with a beautiful landing there. A little crooked, but solid. He is behind No Problem still, though. No Problem beats him to the slalom as we head through it. Hot Wheels really chucking that rear end around. Trying to make up some time, but he's losing grip. Decent downside for Hot Wheels. I didn't catch No Problems. No Problem, first one up onto the bridge. No Problem is killing Hot Wheels right now. Of course, Hot Wheels is a new truck, as No Problem has a little bit of experience on this track. So we'll see if he manages to come out on top, as No Problem beats Hot Wheels into the tunnel. Hot Wheels a little bit of a slap wheelie that's going to hurt him as he has to let it settle down. No Problem might be moving on here. Ooh, rough hit for No Problem. Hot Wheels going for the gap. Nails it. And he grabs the lead from No Problem. Hot Wheels taking the lead in the elevated turn. Heading around the final turn, it's neck and neck still. No Problem could have a better turn and come out on top, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Hot Wheels in the lead over the triple. It's gonna be Hot Wheels moving on to round 2. Nicely done. Coming from behind, a big gap between the two at first. Hot Wheels managing to do it. Nice. We'll see if Hot Wheels can come all the way to the finals tonight, or how far he'll make it up the bracket. As we get ready for our next race of round 1. Blue Thunder taking on Jester. I believe that is the Leduc version of Blue Thunder there on your right, and that brand new red version of Jester on your left. We're going green. Blue Thunder isn't the oldest truck we have here tonight, but it's older compared to Jester, so we'll see which version of equipment can come out on top here, as both of them get pretty solid landings. Blue Thunder, not the smoothest downside, but pulls it off pretty well. Behind Jester right now. Jester looking pretty solid through the slalom here. He has had a shot here before. Blue Thunder has as well, but a different version of the truck. Jester getting up onto starting elevation first. Nicely done. Blue Thunder gets kicked sideways on the bridge, hits that center divide. That hurts his lap for sure. He was already behind Jester. Now Jester takes the lead into the tunnel, has an extra second to make a mistake if he needs to. Blue Thunder trying to come back, doing what he can. Don't know if it's going to happen though. Jester looking for the gap. He's going to come up short, but manages to pull it off. Blue Thunder going long to low. That is going to hurt his time even more. I don't know if it's going to happen for him. Jester narrowly avoiding the same fate that his son did in Kraken not too long ago. And Jester is going to be moving on to round 2. As Blue Thunder just now gets around that final turn and over the triple. Jester heading into round 2. Solid pass from Jester. See if he can bring that energy back around into round 2. Now this is Hooligan coming back once again to take on Axe, but this is actually the werewolf version of Hooligan. You saw Hooligan with the UK tires all the way up until this point. Now he has the BKTs, and there's actually a speck and shine on the body. It's not matte, so that's how I can tell the difference between the werewolf and the V4 version. Axe is a different version than we saw before as well. Axe in the lead right now. Not a big shock when it's werewolf versus V4. Axe really drifting around that first turn. We'll see if Hooligan can make a move here through the slalom, or if Axe is just going to get a free ride into round 2. Hooligan slips in the slalom. Looking for a downside, doesn't quite get it, comes up short there. Hooligan gets into trouble. He's going to have to stop and back it up to get back up on the starting elevation. We'll see if he can make it up. Oh, struggling. It's not going to happen for him. Hooligan goes down. Might be able to keep going. That wasn't a very hard hit. They might let him keep running this time. Not that it would do much for him. Axe is already heading into the tunnel. They do let him refire. Hooligan is getting a shot here at getting back up onto starting elevation. This might be one of our longest laps that we've seen so far. Hooligan getting back up there. Axe already in that elevated turn and heading through the final chicane here. As Hooligan just now gets up onto the bridge. Oh, Hooligan clips the center divide. Snaps the tie rod. That might be it. That is probably going to be it for Hooligan. He won't be able to control it too well. He's going to have to stop. Axe is done. He'll be moving on to round 2. Been so busy watching Hooligan get into some trouble that I missed Axe. Yeah, Hooligan trying to make his way to the finish line here with a broken truck. And he's not doing too bad, but I mean, he's not going to be able to finish the race properly. And yeah, he loses power in that rear tire. It's just dragging behind him now. Pulling out a couple donuts, and he's going to stop it. Hooligan done for tonight, unfortunately. Next out on the track, we got Max D. That yellow body coming out on your right, taking on Killswitch 7. It's going to be an interesting race here. Killswitch, really cool truck. I love these trucks. A lot of cool designs that they got. We just got randomly chosen with Killswitch 7. Hard hit on the front end for Max D. Killswitch in the lead right now. Killswitch getting a little crooked, but a nice downside, recovers nicely. Heading around the first turn, Killswitch trying to save it, goes down. Killswitch is done. Max D heading through the slalom. This is Max D's shot here to come back and take a win. See if he can get across the finish line smoothly. Up and over the double rollers, back up onto starting elevation. Really struggling. The gearing on this truck is working against him big time. I wonder if they'll fix that between rounds or if they'll fix that between shows if he's unable to qualify next time around, or this bracket. Through the bridge, heading for the tunnel now. Solid transfer, keeping it off the wall for the most part. And already out onto the bottom floor. He did well through the tunnel. Gonna have to go long to low here. That gearing working against him in that straight before the gap. Solid through the elevated turn. Overall, this is a pretty solid lap from Max D. Gearing is working against him, but he's making it work for him as well. I mean, he's pretty solid. Great final turn. Max D yellow. Nice. He'll be moving on to round 2 as he crosses that finish line. And that, I believe that's it for round 1. We might have one more race. Either way, he's headed back up to the pits. That's going to do it for Killswitch tonight, unfortunately. Bad Habit coming out next to finish out round 1. He'll be taking on Bob and Tom with that Wilman chassis back once again. And we know he likes to pull out the massive gap on the bottom floor, absolutely clearing it. We'll see if he can keep that around this time and do it once again. Bad Habit getting a hard hit on the front end like Max D did. He's struggling through that first straightaway. Bob and Tom, beautiful gap on the top floor. Bad Habit having to come up short there. See what he can do this time around in the slalom. Bob and Tom taking the slalom on. Oh! Bad Habit slides right into the pit of disqualification. We'll see if he can get back up onto the floor here. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, though. No, he is done. Bad Habit stuck in the pit of disqualification. Doesn't fall into it, luckily. But, no, not happening for him tonight. Bob and Tom free and clear to head into round 2 in our final race of round 1. Unfortunate break for Bad Habit. Bob and Tom looking for the transfer. Solid, keeping it off the wall. Nicely done. Looking for the gap here. He does overshoot the roller a little bit, so he's not going to go for it this time around. Really need to be perfect over that roller if you want to be able to clear that massive gap. Bob and Tom up and over that semi-final ramp here. Coming around the final turn. Bob and Tom is moving on to round 2. Solid pass from Bob and Tom. See if he can keep that energy going in round 2. Ooh, nice stoppy, forward momentum stoppy with that Wilman chassis. We'll see if he can keep that great energy going into round 2 and progress throughout the night. Let's take a look at our round 2 bracket here. Gravedigger is going to be facing off against Iron Man. That's V4 versus Werewolf. Scarlet Bandit is going to be taking on Hot Wheels. Jester will be taking on Axe. Is Indy versus Indy there in our 3rd race of round 2. And Max D is going to be taking on Bob and Tom. I would say Willman versus Willman, but that's a CRD. Max D taking on the Willman, Bob, and Tom. And that's going to be an interesting race there. I got to lean towards Bob and Tom on that one, just with the gearing fighting Max D the entire time last lap. Iron Man on your left taking on Gravedigger. We're going green here in round 2. Up and over that step up. They're neck and neck so far. Gravedigger's slight lead. And it just expands as he gets a perfect downside on the Jackrabbit. Nicely done from both trucks. Iron Man getting into a little bit of trouble coming up short there on the gap. Gravedigger expanding that gap just a little bit. Does oversteer here through that first slalom from Gravedigger. Iron Man looking to come back with that werewolf grip. Gravedigger still in the lead, but Iron Man does make up some ground. Solid downside from Iron Man. Heading into that ski slope for Gravedigger. Iron Man getting there now. Gravedigger still holding on to that lead. Bounces off those cars. Gets into trouble with that center divide. Iron Man comes back. Heading into the tunnel. Iron Man looking for the transfer. Comes up short. Gravedigger gets a beautiful transfer. Gravedigger looking to knock out the werewolf truck here in round 2. Gravedigger going for the gap. They both come long to low here. Gravedigger behind still at this point. Coming around that elevated turn. Gravedigger behind even still, and a struggle through that straightaway. It's looking like it's going to be Iron Man moving on to the semifinals. Through that final turn, it is Iron Man. Knocks out Gravedigger. Wow. The Werewolf Node Beam truck knocks out the V4 here in round 2. Iron Man will be advancing to the semifinals. Goodbye, Gravedigger. Iron Man headed back up to starting elevation. Got a wrench on that truck a little bit. Fix any tweaks that might be in that suspension if you want to take out the semifinalists. That's going to be going up against them. Hot Wheels on your left now with that Willman chassis taking on Scarlet Bandit. These two are on that line staged and ready to go, and we're going green. Up and over the step up. Hot Wheels just completely avoiding that rollover. Scarlet Bandit using it to her advantage here. We'll see who comes out on top. Both of them getting awkward bounces on that Jackrabbit. Scarlet having to come up short there, but does it perfectly. Big sky wheelie, which is going to slow her down just a little bit more than that having to come up short on the gap did. But Hot Wheels in the lead through the slalom. Hot Wheels already looking for the double roller. Doesn't get the smoothest landing there. Struggles getting back up to starting elevation. Scarlet Bandit trying to make the most of that bobble from Hot Wheels. Does make up a little bit of ground, but she's still struggling here in the back. Scarlet getting a little crooked once again on those cars on the bridge. Hot Wheels just trying to expand that gap even more. Hot Wheels hits straight on the chassis on the tunnel. He is done. Scarlet Bandit moving on to round 3. Our semifinals tonight. She can just get across that finish line. Once again, a semifinalist for Scarlet Bandit. Solid turn through the elevated turn. Looking for that final turn. How is she going to take it? A little bit wide. Loses the rear end on the exit just a bit. But up and over the triple nicely and headed over the finish line. Scarlet Bandit moves on to the semifinals. Haven't seen anybody rerun their race, which is good. At least somebody is making it out of the lap each time around, you know. We're not having 2 trucks go down at the same time. Scarlet Bandit, we'll see her again in just a minute for the semifinals. Indy versus Indy time. Axe over on your left, taking on Jester. Team Scream versus Tomfoolery Motorsports. And these two are going to go hard here to become that 10th qualifier. Axe beats Jester to the step up. Jester might have had a better downside there. Axe still in the lead though. Jester gets tripped up, but so does Axe. Both of them struggle heading into this first turn. Jester trying to make up some ground in the slalom. Axe really sliding that rear end around. It's Jester who comes out first. Axe with a better downside through the double rollers. This is a tight race so far. Neck and neck heading down onto the ski slope. Jester takes the lead over the cars. Still tight though. Could go either way on the bottom floor or through the tunnel. Jester with a much better transfer comes out of the tunnel in the lead. Oh, Jester getting into trouble there in the dip though. And up and over that roller. Axe reclaims the lead. Looking for the gap. Hard hit on the front end. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Axe slides off the elevated start. Jester reclaims that lead once again. Axe looking to try to save it here. He does get it back onto all fours, but it doesn't matter. Jester too far in the lead here as he's already heading up and over that triple. Axe is done tonight. Jester moving on to the semifinals, grabbing that 3rd spot in our semifinals tonight. Axe, a solid race up until the elevated turn. Really got to be careful with how you take that thing. I would have much rather seen him go long to low there, and that would have worked out better for him as well. Jester moving on to the semifinals tonight. Axe done for the rest of the night. Next up on the track though, Max D, yellow on your right, taking on Bob and Tom on your left. Cheddar Max D over there, about to go hard here in the round 2. He's gonna have to beat that Willman Bob and Tom. Both of them kind of tagged that step up on their way down. Max D with a better landing, but Bob and Tom is just too fast. Both of them get beautiful landings on that gap. Who is gonna take it here? Max D, no slouch, just struggles with his gearing. This might be the biggest struggle for him right here. The slalom, it just bounces back and forth between 2nd and 1st gear, and it takes a lot of time to change gears here. So, oh, but they're neck and neck. Bob and Tom must have been sliding a lot. Max D, a big slip there, ends up on the nose, and that was a cool move for 2-wheel skills or freestyle. But here in racing, it's not going to pay off for him. Bob and Tom grabs a big lead. Max D struggling on the bridge as well. He's going to have to go very, very hard here through the tunnel and on that bottom floor if he wants to beat Bob and Tom. Bob and Tom already coming out of the tunnel. Getting into some trouble. Going to have to get it under control here. Nearly rolls the truck over, but saves it. And he's going for his signature gap. Nicely done. Beautiful landing. Trying not to slide off the turn like Axe did. Max D in that elevated turn as well, but he's too far behind Bob and Tom at this point. Heading into that final turn for Bob and Tom. And it's going to be Bob and Tom advancing to the next round. Our semifinals tonight. Max D too far behind to grab a win. He is done. He even came up short on the triple as well. Even if he had a lead, he would have lost it right there. Max D done for tonight. Bob and Tom moving on to the semifinals. He'll be taking on Jester. Let's take a look at our semifinal bracket and take one more look at our matchups before we get there. Iron Man, our werewolf node beam truck, absolutely killing it tonight, taking on Scarlet Bandit next round, while Jester takes on Bob and Tom. This is going to be a couple of great races here. I'm very curious to see Iron Man take on Scarlet Bandit. Scarlet has been kind of struggling out here. Iron Man is a werewolf node beam truck, so he's going to struggle in certain places, but I mean, he's been doing pretty well overall compared to the V4 Scarlet Bandit, who's been struggling. Launching off of that starting line here for our semifinals. Scarlet Bandit a lead heading down onto the floor, but it's Iron Man who's coming right behind her. Iron Man flying over the gap. Scarlet Bandit having to go long to low once again on that massive gap. Iron Man first to the slalom. It's looking good for him for a final round placement. We'll see if Scarlet Bandit can make up some time here. Iron Man headed up and over the double rollers. Solid downside. Can he make it up on a starting elevation? He does. And keeps it under control pretty well as well. Iron Man first one onto the ski slope and up onto the bridge. Scarlet Bandit really trying to make up some time. She's doing a good job of it. She's not too far behind him, but she really needs to throw down a solid pass for the rest of the night, for the rest of the lap to overtake Iron Man. Iron Man already with a beautiful transfer into the bridge. Does get a mistake through the tunnel though. Iron Man over the roller looking for the gap here. Scarlet Bandit needs to shoot the gap in order to make up some time here. She doesn't. She goes long to low. Iron Man in the lead still. Scarlet Bandit sliding around too much. It's looking like it's going to be Iron Man. We'll see how this final turn goes. Scarlet trying to make up some time. It doesn't happen. Iron Man is going to be moving on to our semifinals tonight, or our finals, excuse me. This is our semifinals right here. Iron Man into the finals. Might be our first werewolf node beam truck heading into season 2. See if he can do it. He's been the most equipped to do so far out of all of our werewolf trucks that we've seen. Unfortunate break for Scarlet Bandit, our World Finals participant, our World Finals semifinalist in racing. She's a semifinalist here too. Jester on your right now, taking on Bob and Tom. This is going to be an interesting race. I can tell you that much. We'll see who comes out on top here. Bob and Tom might make all the difference with that gap clearing on the bottom floor. Jester first one over the Jackrabbit. Smoother too. Holding that lead over that first gap. Heading into the slalom. Bob and Tom coming out of that first turn a little squirrely. Jester still holds on to the lead right now. Jester up and over that double roller, gets clipped. Bob and Tom overshoots it a little bit. Not the smoothest he's been. Jester struggling there on starting elevation, giving Bob and Tom a chance to make up a little bit of ground. This could make all the difference here. Jester getting into some trouble over the bridge. Bob and Tom gaining once again. Looking for a transfer here. Who has the better one? About the same, but Bob and Tom comes out of it better. Jester narrowly keeping it off that wall. It's about neck and neck heading here, and it is. Bob and Tom's gonna make all the difference, clearing that gap. Jester, a hard hit on the front end, kicks that nose up in the air. Bob and Tom dips that tire off of the elevated turn, but it doesn't matter. Bob and Tom is moving on to the finals to take on Iron Man. Is Bob and Tom going to make all the difference with that gap once again? Or will Iron Man be able to hold it together in the finals and become our first werewolf node beam truck of the second season? Solid race from these two all the way up until that elevated turn. Big mistake from Jester. Should have went long to low there if he wanted to make up some time. I mean, there's no way to foresee your opponent dipping the tire off of that elevated turn, but, you know, it should have went long to low. Iron Man coming out next, taking on Bob and Tom. I don't know about you, but I did not see this night going this way. Iron Man getting into the finals. Our werewolf node beam truck, one of our only tonight. I believe there's only 2 or 3 of them altogether, including Iron Man. So werewolf looking good here in round 10. These guys are hype. Bob and Tom on your left now. Iron Man on your right. Getting ready to go racing here in your final round. Launching off of that starting line. Big air from Bob and Tom. He's going big here in the finals. Gets a better downside. Both of them looking for that landing. Iron Man gets into some trouble in the landing on that massive gap. Bob and Tom nice and smooth. Iron Man struggles through the slalom. See if he can make up some ground here at any point during this race. He is behind big time now compared to Bob and Tom. Bob and Tom with a beautiful downside. Iron Man bounces off of that ledge once again and snaps the forelink in the front end. He is done. Iron Man goes down here in the final round with a broken truck. Bob and Tom heading to the finish line. Bob and Tom can get across that finish line. He will be our next qualifier into Season 2. Nicely done over the rollers. We'll see if he can clear the gap once again. Lining up for it. And beautiful landing there. Not even dipping a tire off the elevated turn this time around. Bob and Tom headed out of that final chicane and to the finish line. Taps the wall there. Oh, he's going for it. He's going to air it out. No opponent means you can take as long as you want. Bob and Tom absolutely skying that thing up and over the triple. And some big air over the finish line as well. Bob and Tom qualifies for Season 2. And a beautiful celebration stoppie here. Look at the moonwalk. Man, he is excited. Bob and Tom, what is this, his third attempt here at getting into the qualifying season. So, I mean, he's done it. Finally done it. Bob and Tom heading into Season 2. Don't forget, guys, we have 27 subs that need to be filled. If you have any ideas or any suggestions that you might want to see, let me know down in the comments. I'm taking all of them, and I'm considering every one of them. Your pick just might be a sub for Season 2. And Season 2 is lining up to be awesome. We got 10 trucks officially subbed in now, and it's only going to keep getting better. Be sure to follow that RORSRPS Instagram. Your votes will determine which tours these trucks get put on and which opponents they're going to face off against all season. So Bob and Tom now included in the votes this weekend. And you got to let me know which tour you want to see them on. Follow the Instagram, RORSRPS. One last look at Bob and Tom. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow with our next 2 rounds of the Spin Master Showdown Qualifier.